Happy Monday. Welcome to another week of your weight loss journey. Glad to have you here in the Facebook group where we do these live streams every Monday morning at 9 a.m. If you're new here, that's the new standard thing I've been doing. I was doing them just sort of at different times, but now I've locked these in at 9, so you can 9 Central Time. So this time you can find these here. So this week I wanted to tell you 3 things that I no longer do in my life from before when I was bigger. For those of you that are new and don't know anything about my background, we've had a lot of new people this month. I lost 125 pounds and I have kept it off. Now, the keeping it off has not been a mistake. It's not been an accident. That has been very purposeful and intentional. There's a plan that I'm working. But part of this is there are activities, there are behaviors, there are thought processes, there are habits, there are just things I don't do anymore. Like I had to stop doing them. And that's not a weird thing. Like you already have done this. Like if you look, there are things that you did when you were 10 that you just don't do anymore. There are ways of thinking you thought when you were 17 that you just don't think anymore. Why? Because you're wiser, older, have more experience. You've evolved as a person. All super normal. So with weight loss, when you got to lose a lot of weight, you're making some real meaningful, actual transformations in your life. And with that is going to come some things that you have to stop doing, that you'll just stop doing forever. Now, some of them will be things that'll be obvious. But some of them will also just be deeply personal and unique to you. And it's up to you to find your list of things that you've got to stop doing. And now keep in mind, just because you stop doing it doesn't mean you won't bring it back with some modifications. And we'll talk about that with the first one. So why don't we just take a quick moment and let's jump into the first one. I no longer sit once I'm done with a long day at work. Now, one of the things that changed for me is I now do for a living something I absolutely love, which is coming here and working with and teaching you all. But make no mistake, it's still a job. I still sit at this chair sometimes for 8 or 10 hours in a day. I still sometimes have things go wrong. I still have stress. I still have things that I have to deal with. I still have life that happens to me. And sometimes I find myself in an exactly same emotional state as I did when I was almost 300 pounds. I come home, I look at the couch, got the TV, got some TV show, and the first thing I think to myself is, I've had a long, hard day. I think I need to sit down for a while and just sort of let this day go and do something fun that I enjoy. Like that's something I used to do every single day. I looked forward to at the end of my day, I would come home. Well, let's talk about it, how it was at the very end before I started to change. At the end of the day, I had this little man den in the basement, this little room. It was completely isolated, totally soundproof. It was awesome. And I had my gaming set up in there. And all I could think about is that, on a long, hard day, I just wanted to get home, grab myself my box of Cheez-Its, get down into that room. The box of Cheez-Its was usually already there. And start playing Overwatch. That was my drug of choice for gaming. And I would play for an hour. And the entire time I'm doing it, I'm thinking about what sounds like a great dinner. And I was, I had grown up money and I thought, I could go out to eat wherever I want. So I literally would just spend the whole time thinking about what would be the most amazing, delicious, wonderful, just godsend of a dinner that I could have. No thought for anything else other than it's just, what do I want? And I would think of that while I was sitting there, the long day. And then I would go have it after about an hour and a half of gaming. And then I would come home and I would sit down again and start watching a TV show or a movie, whatever the latest binge I was doing on a TV show. And what would happen is by the time, I realized, well, the day is getting to a close and I need to take care of some things in life and maybe even go do some movement. Well, by this point, I have let law of inertia cause me to stay at rest. Objects at rest, stay at rest. Objects in motion, stay in motion. And we as humans are very subjective to momentum. And so I would find myself sitting there. And now I no longer want to get up because I've been sitting for hours. I was already sitting all day long and I came home and just kept that sitting train going. So that is something I no longer do. At the end of a long day of work, I do not give myself permission to sit down just because it was a long, hard day at work. I still have long, hard days at work, but that's not an excuse. It's not a reason or a justification that I personally, for me, use to sit down. So this is one of the changes that I made in my life that I no longer do. I do sit down, but I sit down once I have gotten done the things that I need to get done. And one of those things is movement in my life. The next thing that I no longer do is tell myself it's okay to not get my movement for the day. I no longer tell myself it's not okay, or tell myself it's okay to not get my movement. Now, let me be very, very clear about something. I do not hit my exercise targets every day and every week. I do not. I do not hit my movement targets every day and every week. I do not. Do I hit it a lot of days and a lot of weeks? Sure. But there are many days, and not an insignificant amount, where I do not hit my movement target. I have a personal target in my life of about 10,000 steps a day as a rolling average. It's just where I'm at with my training and running. That number changes throughout the year, so I'm not saying that for you to go copy me. I'm just telling you what I currently do. It is not unusual for me to get to the end of a day and I only have 5,000 steps. Well, that's literally half of what I said I was going to do. Now, what I don't do, first off, I don't beat myself up. I don't berate myself for having not hit my goal. So let me literally walk you through what I do. This is exactly how I do it. So right here, you won't be able to see it, but right on the front of my watch, there's a little tiny number that shows me my steps. And I look at it all throughout the day. And then at the end of the day, when I can tell I'm in the home stretch, I'm getting in bed in the next hour, I know from wherever point on, I'm probably not going to get more than about 500 to, at best, 1,000 steps, but probably just only 500 or so. I look down, and if I see I'm not going to miss my target, here's what I tell myself. Not okay, Terrell. You're not going to do this tomorrow. This is unacceptable. And then I move on, and then I just let it go. Like, that's it. That's literally the extent in the entire conversation. But what I don't do is say, man, it's okay. You've had a long day. You didn't get your steps. Maybe you'll do it again tomorrow. I don't do that. Because in my case, for me, that's setting a low bar. I tell myself, no, Terrell, you had a standard, and you didn't meet it. It's okay that you didn't meet it, but it's not okay that you didn't meet it. You've got to do better tomorrow, Terrell. Go do better tomorrow. You're fine as a person, but it's not okay that you didn't honor your goals that you set for yourself. And I realized what would happen is in the past, I would give myself a pass. I would give myself a free pass all in the name of being nice to myself. But I would take it too far the other way. I would be too forgiving, way too forgiving of myself. There needs to be some sort of sense of disappointment within myself that I didn't achieve my number. But I can't have it go too far the other way, where the disappointment turns into self-flagellation and is debilitating. I can't do that. I've got to find that middle ground. Now I see someone here in the chat just asked, do I have a step counter on an Apple Watch? Apple Watches do indeed have a step counter. Currently, I use a Garmin. Almost every smartwatch has a pedometer built into it, and you can actually even get dirt cheap ones on Amazon, like just a wrist one, like for $20. If you don't want to go out and get a full-fledged smartwatch, that's fine. You can get a $20 smartwatch on Amazon, or even go to Walmart and just buy a clip-on pedometer that you clip onto your belt, and it'll just count your steps all day long. Watching my steps is a major part of my maintenance strategy. Now, the next thing is I no longer eat very calorie-dense foods without predetermining my stopping point. Let's say, for example, I go to a birthday, and they're going to have birthday cake. Well, birthday cake is very calorie dense. It does not take a lot of cake to get up to 6, 7, 8, 900 to 1,000 calories. It's pretty easy. So one of the things I no longer do is just start eating. When that food shows up, I don't just serve myself whatever sounds good and just start eating. Because what ends up happening is what if I decide that I want to eat more? That doesn't work. So I realized for myself, I have to always set a stopping point. I tell myself, how much am I going to have right now? It takes half a second. There's literally no reason I can't do it. None at all. There's nothing in life that could possibly come up that would cause me to not have the ability to take 20 seconds and go, when do I want to stop eating this indulgent, decadent, incredibly calorie-dense thing that I am about to eat? It's not to feel guilty about it. It's just because I know what's going to happen. Let's say I have a piece of birthday cake. Let's say it's from Nothing Bundt Cakes. Have you ever had one of those? They're amazing. And I know what's going to happen. I feel pretty calm, cool, and collected. And then I'm going to take a bite of that, especially if I get some of that delicious frosting. I'm going to take a bite of it. And the moment I do it, everything inside my body is going to go, I need more of this. And it's not going to stop. That feeling's not going to go away. And that doesn't mean I'm flawed. It doesn't mean I'm broken. It doesn't mean I'm addicted to food or beholden to it or weak-willed. It doesn't mean any of that. It means I'm a human. And my body is doing exactly what it's designed to do. It is tasting something incredibly delicious and calorie dense, and it is saying, I would like some more, please. That's what my body's doing. Or probably more demanding it, but you get the idea. And so I have learned that me in that state with that food, getting my body pitting it against my mind, my executive function, that is a recipe for failure. That is a recipe that is not designed to output success on a weight loss journey. So I have learned with myself, I must always predetermine when will I stop before the food goes in my mouth. That's it. It's that simple. I have been doing that now for years. And you can do it too. You can 100% do it too. So, couple quick things here, little admin that I want to talk about. If you are looking to join the Guild of Champions, which you can see I have the little thing for here, I would welcome you to do that. You can find out about that at christerrellcoaching.com. But that is not the big thing I want to tell you about today. The big thing I want to tell you about today is the podcast. So every Friday, if you do not know, I release a new episode of the Chris Terrell podcast. This last week was a particularly good episode talking about what to do in the beginning of a weight loss journey. So if I had to lose it all over again, what would I do differently? Knowing everything I know now, how would I tackle week one? Now, here's a really interesting thing. Some of you right now, you are on your week one. There might be some great tips there that you can take. Feel free to steal, borrow, and adjust and adapt in however way you see fit. Or even just completely copy it. That would be fine. Some of you, however, you're not on your week one, you're on your week 30, but you've, backslid and gained about 10 pounds. So in your mind, you feel like it's a week one again. It's not. It's the same journey, but I understand. I understand the mental part. Really what you're saying is I want to get momentum again. And that's how I look at it with a week one. The purpose of a week one is to gain some momentum. And so I want to encourage you, if you have not checked out this week's episode of the podcast, this can be a great way to get some additional teaching and coaching to help you on your weight loss journey. So you can find it on any of your podcasting apps. You also can go to christerrellcoaching.com and there will be a link to it. If you are brand new to the podcast, you can click on this listen to the podcast link right here. And here we have created a guide that will get you started on the podcast where you can go through and get all of the episodes. Now, I see I have a couple of questions. I will go ahead and just take a quick moment and answer a couple of these questions. Let's see. How do I handle exercise and diet when I am sick? So I actually just recently got sick, and I was actually posting about it a little bit on my TikTok. So if you're not following me on TikTok, make sure to follow me there. But the biggest thing about exercise and diet is being sick is no excuse to overeat. I'm just going to tell you that point blank. Just because you're sick, that doesn't mean you get to overeat. It's not going to make you get better faster. It's not going to help you. I promise. At most, it buys you an hour of relief. So just time your food. Listen to your body. When you're sick, you give your body what it needs to be healthy. That is not the time to be eating a whole bunch of ice cream and junk food because your body needs nutrition to help you with it. So just right away, I'm just going to tell you right now, if you are sick, that is not an excuse to eat whatever you want. Your diet should still stick, and I'm sorry that you're sick and you got to go through that. That sucks. But there's no reason you should go digging yourself a bigger hole because you're sick. In fact, sick can usually help you lose a little bit of weight if you want to be honest. As far as exercise, take a break. Let your body recover. Do some walking. Listen to your body. Do whatever your body can do, but listen to your body. Don't feel like you have to just stop. I usually at least still try to walk when I get sick. And actually, this last time I did that as well. Is my movement goal the same as my exercise goal for the day? No, it is not. My exercise goal is a completely separate goal from my movement goal. So in my case, I monitor steps and I monitor activities and tasks. If you want to know more about that, actually this week in the Guild, we've been talking up until this point about data-driven weight loss and monitoring calories. This week, I'm actually going to be switching from how to use data away from food, and we're going to start talking about how to use data to help you monitor and track your NEAT movements, your exercise, and other things like your sleep, your water intake. I'm going to talk about how you can use data in the rest of your life to help supercharge your weight loss. So if you want to be sure to get some of those lessons, come join the guild. Would love to have you be a part of it. You can watch them all live and you can catch the replays. Let's see. I'm new to the podcast, starting right from the beginning right now for 2 days now. Welcome to the podcast. I will tell you, feel free to jump around, and I would encourage you, even if you're starting all the way in the back, catch the newest episodes as they're coming out, especially if you are new on a journey. I can tell you they're not in order, but I do, especially this time of year, slant things a bit towards beginners, people that are just getting started. I do not stay towards beginners the entire time. I like to make sure to talk about the entire journey. But if you're in the beginning, definitely keep, listen all the way through, but stay current on the week to week. I would encourage you to do that. So I'd say listen to the current week and then work through the backlog. Jessica just finished a 39-minute walk. Well, thank you for listening to the podcast as you did it. And thank you for taking yourself on a walk. I love it. All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap up here. I am so glad to have you all here in the Facebook group. Be sure to come back here next week, where you can catch the live stream at 9 a.m. I will I did it this week where I sent out a little announcement text on the group and tagged everybody in it. So I'll keep doing that so you can get just a reminder right before that's coming. So would love to see you next week, and you can catch these also on a replay. And don't forget to go check out the podcast if you missed this last week's episode. And I will see you next week on our next live stream. Have a good day. Have a great week. Go crush it. Through the love and tragedy, when we're winning, when we're losing, take my hand. There's a better life ahead. Take my word. With you and me, there's a better life. There's a better life. There's a better life. There's a better life. I'll be the heart.